I arrived home early from the doctor's office, mind racing with my terminal diagnosis, 6 months to live. After 8 years of marriage to Amanda, all I wanted was her comfort. The strange BMW in the driveway confused me. Climbing the stairs, I heard rhythmic sounds from our bedroom. My heart pounded as I pushed open the door to find Amanda straddling her boss, both lost in passion. They froze at my presence, her eyes widening in horror. Before I continue this story, drop where you are watching from in the comments and hit subscribe if you have ever had your entire world shattered in a single moment. The way I got revenge worth every second. Amanda and I met during a literature class at the University of Michigan. I still remember how the autumn sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating her blonde hair as she passionately debated Hemingway with our professor. Her intelligence and confidence captivated me immediately. After class, I worked up the courage to ask her about forming a study group, though we both knew it was just an excuse to spend time together. Our connection was instant and powerful. We bonded over our shared dreams, mine of designing sustainable buildings that would last generations, hers of creating marketing campaigns that would change how people think. We stayed up countless nights in campus coffee shops, talking about everything from our childhoods to our greatest fears. She understood me in ways no one else had before. Our first date was at a small jazz club in Ann Arbor. She wore a blue dress that matched her eyes and laughed at all my nervous jokes. By our third date, I knew she was special. We became inseparable through college, supporting each other through brutal finals weeks and celebrating each small victory together. Some of my fondest memories were our camping trips to northern Michigan. Amanda, despite growing up in suburban comfort, embraced the wilderness with unexpected enthusiasm. Under starlit skies beside Lake Superior, we talked about the future we would build together. She held my hand as we made promises that felt eternal. When I struggled through graduate school, working nights at a local bar to make ends meet, Amanda was my rock. She would surprise me with homemade meals during all-nighters, leaving encouraging notes hidden in my textbooks. Her unwavering belief in my talent pulled me through the darkest moments of self-doubt. I proposed at her parents' lakeside home in Wisconsin, down on one knee at sunset with her family watching from the porch. Her tearful yes was the happiest moment of my life. Our wedding was modest but joyful. Just 60 guests, wildflower centerpieces. She arranged herself and her father's emotional toast that left no dry eyes. We scraped together enough for a down payment on our first home in suburban Chicago, a fixer-upper that needed love but had good bones as my architectural eye could tell. Weekends were spent painting walls and refinishing hardwood floors, building our future with our own hands. Each improvement made it more ours. As we built our careers, mine in architectural design at a respected Chicago firm, hers climbing the ladder at Meridian Marketing, we settled into what I thought was marital bliss. 8 years flew by in a comfortable rhythm of dinner parties, with friends, holiday gatherings, with family, and quiet evenings planning our future. Looking back, the warning signs were subtle but present. 6 months ago, Amanda started working later, her texts becoming less frequent and more perfunctory. Our once passionate intimacy dwindled to occasional, almost obligatory encounters. When I mentioned the distance between us, she blamed work stress and an important new client demanding her attention. I believed her because I wanted to, because trust was the foundation I thought we had built together. The first sign something was wrong with my health was a persistent cough that would not go away despite over-the-counter medications. Then came the unexplained weight loss, 15 pounds, in 2 months, despite no changes to my diet or exercise routine. My clothes hung loose, and a constant fatigue settled deep in my bones. Amanda seemed concerned, urging me to see our family doctor. "You look terrible, Jonas," she said one morning, her hand briefly touching my forehead. "Promise me you will make an appointment today." Her insistence felt like caring then. Now I wonder if my deteriorating appearance was becoming inconvenient for her carefully constructed double life. The family doctor ran initial tests, his face growing increasingly serious as results came back. "I want you to see a specialist," he said, writing a referral to an oncologist at Northwestern Memorial. The word hung, unspoken between us, cancer. The waiting room at Northwestern Memorial was sterile and cold, despite attempts at warmth with abstract paintings and plush chairs. Time stretched as I flipped through outdated magazines surrounded by others whose faces reflected various stages of hope and despair. When my name was called, my legs felt leaden as I followed the nurse to the consultation room. Dr. Melissa Winters had compassionate eyes that contrasted with her grave expression. She placed my scan results on the illuminated board, pointing to shadowy areas that should not have been there. "I am sorry to tell you this, Mr. Harlow, but you have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It has metastasized to your liver." The words hit like physical blows. Stage 4, metastasized. Each term carried weight I could barely comprehend. "What does that mean exactly?" I asked, though part of me already knew. With this diagnosis and spread, Dr. Winters explained gently, "We are typically looking at 6 to 12 months. There are treatment options. We can discuss chemotherapy protocols that might extend that timeline, clinical trials you might qualify for. But I need to be honest about the prognosis." The room seemed to shrink around me. 6 to 12 months. Half a year to a year left on Earth. My mind raced to Amanda. We had talked about children, about growing old together in a house by the lake. None of that would happen now. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands, calling Amanda's cell repeatedly. 4 calls straight to voicemail. I needed her voice, her comfort, the security of knowing I would not face this alone. "Please call me back," I said, in my final message. "I need you. It is important." The drive home was a blur. Traffic lights and street signs melted together as my mind churned with impossible realities. How do you plan for the end of your life at 34? What would happen to my designs, my ideas, the buildings I would never see completed? Most of all, how would Amanda cope? Despite our recent distance, I worried about her future without me. All I wanted was to be in our home in her arms, to hear her say we would face whatever came next together. The black BMW 5 Series sat in our driveway like an alien object. I did not recognize it, though. Something about the specialized license plate nagged at my memory. Amanda drove a white Audi, and none of our friends owned a black BMW. For a moment, I wondered if I had somehow pulled into the wrong driveway, my mind clouded by the diagnosis. I parked behind it and sat for a moment, gathering strength. The house looked normal. Our 2-story colonial with the dark green shutters Amanda had insisted on. The flower beds needed weeding. Would I live to see them bloom next spring? The front door was unlocked, which was unusual. Amanda was fastidious about home security. Inside the entryway, light was off, but the house was not empty. I could sense a presence, an energy that felt wrong. A man's suit jacket lay draped over the banister, charcoal gray, expensive looking. A few steps up, a silky blue blouse that I recognized as Amanda's lay discarded. As I climbed the stairs, the sounds became unmistakable, rhythmic, creaking, muffled moans, the soundtrack of intimacy I had shared with my wife countless times. But these were not our sounds. Something primal and possessive roared to life inside me, temporarily drowning out even the cancer diagnosis. Our bedroom door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open without knocking. The afternoon light filtered through partially closed blinds, illuminating the scene in golden bars. Amanda sat astride a man, her head thrown back in pleasure, her wedding ring glinting as her hands pressed against his chest. The man beneath her was Derek Thompson, her marketing director, whom I had met at company parties. Time stopped. Amanda's eyes opened and met mine, widening in shock and horror. Her mouth formed a perfect O as her brain registered my presence. Derek noticed her frozen posture and followed her gaze to the doorway. His expression shifted from pleasure to panic in an instant. Amanda gasped, scrambling off Derek and pulling the sheet to her chest as if modesty mattered at this point. This is not. Her words faltered as the absurdity of saying it is not what it looks like became apparent. Derek avoided eye contact, completely reaching for his scattered clothes at the foot of our bed, the bed we had chosen together where we had talked about having children someday. What surprised me most was my own reaction. I felt unnaturally calm, as if watching the scene in a movie theater. The shock of my cancer diagnosis had created a strange buffer, a sense of detachment that prevented total emotional collapse. Without saying a word, I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard Amanda's frantic call of my name, but I did not stop. The cancer diagnosis remained unshared, a second devastating secret carried out the door with me. I drove aimlessly along Lake Michigan's shoreline for hours, watching waves crash against the breakers as the sun began its descent. Families packed up beach towels and coolers. Children laughed and ran through the sand, all living normal lives that would continue long after mine had ended. The juxtaposition was almost too much to bear, mortality and betrayal colliding in a single afternoon. Eventually, I checked into a downtown Marriott with nothing but the clothes on my back. The sympathetic desk clerk must have read something in my expression because she upgraded me to a Lakeview room without my asking. I stood at the window for a long time watching the city lights reflect on the dark water, feeling hollow. My phone vibrated constantly, 27 missed calls and 16 increasingly frantic texts from Amanda. "Where are you? Please come home so we can talk. Let me explain. This is not what you think. I love you, not him." Each message more desperate than the last. I silenced the phone and placed it face down on the nightstand. Sleep evaded me completely that night. I lay awake, replaying 8 years of marriage, searching for signs I had missed, clues that might have prepared me for this betrayal. Had she been unhappy all along? Was I so absorbed in my work that I had failed to notice her drifting away? Or had the recent distance been entirely due to her affair? As dawn broke over the lake, clarity arrived unexpectedly. The crushing weight of yesterday's double blow had not diminished, but somehow morning brought a strange sense of purpose. My time was now measured in months, not decades. I could not waste it on pointless anger or self-pity. I picked up my phone and composed a simple text to Amanda, Millennium Park Cafe, 2 p.m. Come alone. Amanda arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early, which was unusual for her. She was overdressed for the casual setting, wearing a fitted gray dress and heels that clicked purposefully across the patio. Her makeup was perfect, hiding any signs of a sleepless night, and her hair fell in carefully styled waves. She had prepared for this meeting, probably rehearsed what she would say. I watched her scan the table, spotting me in the corner, where I sat nursing a black coffee. Her shoulders squared as she approached, chin lifted slightly, her professional posture that she adopted when heading into difficult negotiations. "Jonas," she began, sliding into the seat across from me. "Thank you for meeting me. I know what you saw was—" She paused, searching for the right word. "Inexcusable. But there are things you do not understand." I said nothing, waiting. The silence clearly unnerved her as she fidgeted with her wedding ring. "I have been feeling emotionally neglected," she continued, using words that sounded practiced. "You have been so focused on your firm's sustainable housing project. We barely talk anymore." Derek was he was there. He listened. It started as friendship. When I asked quietly, the directness of my question caught her off guard. "When what? When did it start?" "The first time you slept with him." Her eyes flickered down to her hands. "About a year ago, after the Cleveland Marketing Conference." A year. While I had been designing energy-efficient apartment complexes for low-income families, meeting deadlines and planning our future, she had been leading a double life for a full year. How many times in our house, in our bed, My voice remained steady, detached. Jonas, does it matter? It was a mistake. How many times, Amanda? She swallowed hard. I do not know. Several. Do you love him? No? The response came too quickly. It was never about love. It was just physical, needs being met. You and I have not been intimate in months. 3 months, I corrected. Not from lack of trying on my part. She reached across the table for my hand, but I pulled back. I want to fix this, Jonas. I made a terrible mistake, but our marriage is worth fighting for. 8 years cannot end. Because of one, I have cancer, I interrupted. The words hung in the air between us. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer, metastasized to my liver. That is where I was yesterday getting the diagnosis. 6 to 12 months to live, Amanda. That is what I came home to tell you. Her face drained of color. For a moment, genuine shock registered in her eyes. Then something shifted, something I might have missed if I had not been watching so carefully. Oh my God, she whispered. Jonas, that cannot be right. We need a second opinion. What about our plans? The lake house we wanted to build for retirement. Not how are you feeling. Not what are your treatment options. Not I will be with you every step of the way. Our plans. The lake house. Retirement. That would now never come. There are excellent treatment centers, she continued already, switching to problem-solving mode. We can get through this together, Jonas. And the other issue, we can work through both issues together. Marriage counseling. A fresh start. In that moment, I saw Amanda clearly for the first time. The woman I had loved for 8 years was revealing her true nature, calculating, self-centered, already figuring out how my illness would impact her life plans. There will not be any getting through this together, I said quietly. I would have forgiven almost anything, Amanda, but not this, not today. Within 24 hours, Amanda had already crafted her version of events and begun spreading it through our social circle. My phone filled with accusatory messages from people we had called friends for years. How could you cheat on Amanda and then blame her? Man, I always thought better of you. Guess people surprise you. Amanda told us everything. She's devastated. Way to kick her when she's down. The story she had concocted was breathtaking in its audacity, claiming she had caught me cheating months ago, but had been trying to save our marriage. According to her narrative, Derek was a recent comfort during her emotional distress over my betrayal. Several friends had already taken sides without ever hearing me speak. Even Amanda's parents called her father's voice tight with disappointment. We welcomed you into our family, Jonas. Amanda is heartbroken. Whatever problems you two have, there are better ways to handle them. I did not defend myself. What was the point? Between the cancer and the betrayal, I lacked the energy for battles on multiple fronts. Instead, I deleted my social media accounts, changed my phone number, and retreated into isolation. The irony was bitter, facing a terminal diagnosis when support should have been at its strongest. I found myself more alone than ever before. My parents had passed years ago, my sister lived overseas, and now my wife and friends were gone too. The emptiness threatened to swallow me whole. My college roommate, Michael, had become a family law attorney in downtown Chicago. Despite not having spoken in months, he immediately made time when I called. This is a complete mess, Jonas, he said, after I explained the situation in his office, overlooking Millennium Park. But legally, you have options. Illinois recognizes infidelity in divorce proceedings, especially with documentation. And you said you have evidence. I nodded, sliding my phone across his desk. Check the photos folder. Michael scrolled through the images I had discovered pictures Amanda had taken in our home while I was traveling for work. Selfies clearly intended for Derek timestamps, matching days I had been in Seattle, presenting designs to clients. There is more, I said. I accessed our joint accounts last night. Look at the credit card statements from the past 6 months. His eyebrows raised as he reviewed the documents. Charges for hotel rooms in Chicago on nights Amanda claimed to be working late. Expensive men's watches and cufflinks purchased at Nordstrom Gifts for Derek that I had never seen. Restaurant charges for dinners I had never attended. She has been moving money too, I continued. Small amounts from our joint savings to her personal account, about $30,000 over the past year. Preparing her escape, Michael muttered. Not uncommon, unfortunately. As we talked, something shifted inside me. The helpless feeling that had plagued me since the diagnosis began to recede, replaced by a strange clarity. I could not control my cancer or how long I had left, but I could control what happened next with Amanda. What do you want? Jonas Michael asked. Quick, clean divorce, maximum financial settlement, public exposure. I considered the question carefully. I want 3 things. First, I want to protect what is mine, the money I earned, my pension, my designs. Second, I want the truth known, not her manipulated version. And third, I paused the words feeling foreign in my mouth. I want her to experience consequences. Michael leaned back in his chair. We can do all 3. But you should know fighting will take energy you might want to preserve for treatment. Treatment buys me months at best. This is about how I spend that time. I refuse to let her profit from this situation or control the narrative. We spent hours developing a strategy that would remain within legal boundaries while maximizing impact. For the first time since my diagnosis, I felt a sense of purpose. I was no longer just a victim of circumstances beyond my control. Before leaving, I made one crucial decision. Keep the cancer diagnosis between us for now. It is my information to share when I choose. Michael nodded gravely. Your medical privacy is absolute, but Jonas, you will need support through treatment. One battle at a time, I replied. First Amanda, then cancer. While staying at a downtown hotel, I spent 3 days executing financial preparations with surgical precision. I withdrew the maximum allowed from our joint accounts without triggering fraud alerts, just under $10,000. Next, I opened new accounts at a different bank, providing Michael with access authorization in case my condition deteriorated rapidly. My grandfather had left me a modest inheritance that I had always kept in our joint savings for someday. That someday had arrived, though not in the way I had imagined. I transferred these funds to my new secured account before Amanda could access them. A meeting with a financial advisor specialized in divorce proceedings helped me understand how to protect my business interests. As a partner in my architectural firm, I had equity that needed shielding. We created documentation, transferring my designs and intellectual property into protected entities. Most importantly, I learned about medical insurance implications post-divorce. Timing would be crucial to ensure continuous coverage as my treatments intensified. The financial advisor connected me with a healthcare advocate who specialized in navigating insurance for serious diagnoses. Throughout this process, I maintained meticulous records of every transaction, every email, every text message between Amanda and me over the past year. I documented each discovery of her affair expenses with timestamps and photographs. Each piece of evidence was another brick in the wall I was building, not out of vengeance, but out of self-preservation. Amanda continued her barrage of messages to my new number, alternating between tearful pleas and angry accusations. I responded only once, telling her I would return home in 1 week to discuss our situation. The delay served 2 purposes: completing my preparations and increasing her anxiety about what I might be planning. When I finally returned home, Amanda had transformed our living room into a staging area for her performance. Tissues scattered strategically on the coffee table. Photo albums of our happier days prominently displayed. Soft music playing in the background. She wore the blue sweater I had once said, brought out her eyes hair pulled back in the simple ponytail from our college days. Jonas, she began, tears welling immediately. I am so relieved you came home. We need to talk about everything your diagnosis us moving forward together. I sat across from her, placing a folder on the table between us. Yes, we do need to talk. Her eyes darted to the folder. What is that evidence? I said, simply opening it to reveal neatly organized printouts. Hotel receipts for the Langham on dates you told me you were working late. Credit card statements showing jewelry purchased for Derek, those Mont Blanc cufflinks you charged to our joint account in December. Screenshots of your text messages scheduling your meetups while I was in Seattle. As I laid out each piece methodically, Amanda's performance crumbled. The tears dried up, instantly replaced by a hardening in her eyes I had never seen before. You went through my private messages. You spied on me. Her voice rose with indignation. That is an invasion of privacy. Privacy stopped being a concern when you brought another man into our marital bed. My voice remained calm, detached. But that is not all, Amanda. I also found the $30,000 you have been siphoning from our joint savings. Her face flushed red. That was my money too. I earned it, which is why I have not reported it as theft. But it does show premeditation. The facade fell away completely then. Amanda leaned forward, voice dropping to a cold, unfamiliar tone. You want war. Fine. I will take you for everything, Jonas. Half the house, half your firm equity, half your pension. My lawyer will destroy you. I met her gaze steadily. Your lawyer can certainly try. But first you should read these. I slid divorce papers across the table, already prepared. Quite generous, actually. You keep your car, your personal accounts, and your clothes. I keep the house, my business interests, and my family inheritance. She laughed, a harsh sound devoid of humor. Why would I ever sign these? I leaned forward slightly. Because if you do not, the next package of evidence goes to the Meridian Marketing Board of Directors, documenting how you and Derek have been using company funds to finance your affair, hotel rooms charged to client accounts, business dinners that were actually dates. The conference in Cleveland, where this all started, I checked you upgraded to a luxury suite on the company card. Her face paled. You would not. I would. Along with identical packages to Derek's wife and your parents. You can have everything in these divorce papers, Amanda, except your reputation. 2 days after our confrontation, an anonymous ethics complaint landed on the desks of Meridian Marketing's board members. The carefully prepared package contained expense reports, hotel receipts, and calendar entries showing systematic abuse of company funds by both Amanda and Derek. A separate envelope arrived at Derek's home address, addressed to his wife. The company's response was swift and decisive. By that afternoon, both Amanda and Derek were suspended pending internal investigation. Security escorted them from the building, personal items in cardboard boxes, a humiliation witnessed by the entire office. Within a week, the investigation uncovered expense account abuse totaling over $20,000, resulting in immediate termination. Chicago's marketing community was tight-knit and gossip-hungry. Word spread quickly about the scandal, effectively blacklisting both Amanda and Derek from comparable positions at other firms. Former colleagues distanced themselves, unwilling to risk professional association with either of them. Derek, facing his own marital implosion, made the calculated decision to abandon Amanda completely. He issued a statement to the company, claiming she had manipulated him and initiated the affair, throwing her under the bus in a desperate attempt to save his marriage and what remained of his career. Amanda's frantic calls increased, now tinged with panic rather than manipulation. This is going too far, she sobbed in one voicemail. I cannot pay my credit card bills. No one will hire me. Please, call off whatever you are doing. I never responded. My silence proved more powerful than any words could have been. While Amanda's professional life collapsed, I began reaching out individually to our closest friends. Over coffee or drinks, I showed selected evidence of Amanda's year-long deception, always maintaining my own dignity in the process. I am not asking you to choose sides. I told my friend David, who had known us both since college, I just wanted you to know the truth, especially after what Amanda has been saying." David studied the hotel receipts, his expression darkening. "She told everyone you cheated first, that you had been unfaithful for months, and she caught you." "I know what she said," I replied calmly. "Now you know the truth." One by one, support shifted, not with dramatic declarations or public denouncements, but with quiet text messages checking on my well-being, invitations to dinner, offers of help with moving arrangements. The isolation Amanda had engineered began to dissolve. Meanwhile, her increasingly desperate attempts to salvage her reputation on social media backfired spectacularly. Each post claiming victimhood drew skeptical comments or was met with deafening silence. The carefully cultivated image she had built over years crumbled post by post. The most significant shift came when mutual friends from Amanda's hometown visited Chicago and learned the truth from our shared circle. They returned to Wisconsin with the real story, which eventually reached Amanda's parents. Their shocked call came on a Sunday morning. "Jonas," her father said, voice heavy with emotion, "we owe you an apology. We had no idea what really happened. Amanda led us to believe. Well, it does not matter now. We know the truth, and we are deeply sorry for how we treated you." "Thank you," I said simply. "That means a lot. How are you doing?" "Really?" he asked, concern evident. It was time. "Actually, there is something else you should know." After the divorce filing became public record, I finally shared my cancer diagnosis with a small circle of close friends. The response was overwhelming, an immediate rallying of support that brought me to tears. David organized a meal train, ensuring I had fresh food during treatment days. My colleague Jennifer arranged transportation to medical appointments. My old college roommate flew in from Denver to stay for a week, helping me organize medical paperwork and insurance claims. The community I thought I had lost surrounded me more strongly than ever. They accompanied me to chemo sessions, brought books and movies for the long treatment hours, and most importantly, provided the emotional strength I needed to face both the physical fight and the ongoing divorce proceedings. Amanda learned about my diagnosis through mutual friends, and her reaction was exactly as I had predicted. She immediately reappeared in my life, suddenly full of support and reconciliation attempts. "I should be the one taking care of you," she insisted during an unannounced visit to my new apartment. "We took vows in sickness and in health. Let me help you through this, Jonas. We can put everything else aside." I studied her face, searching for genuine concern, but finding only calculation. Even now she was performing, playing the role of devoted wife for an audience that no longer believed the show. "No," I said simply. "You made your choice a year ago, Amanda. You do not get to change your mind because circumstances changed." Our final confrontation came during divorce proceedings at my lawyer's office. Amanda arrived with her own attorney, but requested a private moment before signing the papers. "Jonas, please," she said, tears welling in perfectly made-up eyes. "I made a terrible mistake. I know that now. Let me help you through this. No one will love you like I do." I looked at this woman I had once planned to grow old with, now a stranger to me. "You were not there when I got the diagnosis, Amanda. You do not get to be there for the fight." Her face crumpled as the reality sank in. She had lost everything that mattered, and no performance could recover it. The months following the divorce were focused entirely on my health battle. I pursued aggressive experimental treatment options at Northwestern's research center, qualifying for a trial, combining immunotherapy with targeted radiation. My support network never wavered. Friends coordinated their schedules to ensure I was never alone for important appointments. Colleagues from my firm modified projects to allow me to continue working on designs from home when I had the energy. Even my landlord made accommodations, installing a chairlift on the stairs to my second-floor apartment. Amanda continued attempting contact, but each message went unanswered. Her desperate social media posts, seeking sympathy for supporting my ex through illness while dealing with our divorce, backfired dramatically when friends posted evidence of her absence from every single treatment session. I found unexpected strength in being honest about my condition. No more energy wasted on pretense or maintaining appearances. Cancer stripped away everything superficial, leaving only what truly mattered: genuine connections, meaningful work moments of beauty and joy in everyday life. The support group at Northwestern became a second family. There was Daniel, the retired firefighter, with the same diagnosis, whose dark humor made even the worst days bearable. Maria, the young mother, fighting for more time with her children, taught me to celebrate every good scan like a major victory. Through their stories and courage, I found context for my own struggle and surprising comfort in no longer living with betrayal alongside my diagnosis. At my 6-month follow-up, Dr. Winters reviewed my scans with cautious optimism. "The primary tumor has shrunk by 30%, she explained, pointing to the images, "and 2 of the liver lesions are no longer visible." "What does that mean exactly?" I asked, afraid to hope. "It means you are responding to treatment," she said, allowing a small smile. "I cannot make promises, but if this response continues, we may be looking at extending that initial timeline significantly." My brother Thomas, from whom I had been estranged for years over a family business disagreement, saw a post about my diagnosis and immediately reached out. Our reconciliation became one of cancer's unexpected gifts, the petty disagreements of the past dissolving in the face of mortality. Thomas moved temporarily to Chicago to support me, taking a remote work arrangement with his tech company. His presence during particularly difficult treatment weeks made an immeasurable difference. We rebuilt our relationship one conversation at a time, filling in the missing years and rediscovering the bond we had shared as children. Another unexpected relationship developed with Elise, an oncology nurse from my treatment center. Our connection began professionally, but evolved as she consistently went above and beyond during my appointments. She joined me for coffee after a particularly difficult treatment, and our conversations expanded beyond medical matters to books, architecture, and shared love of hiking the Indiana dunes. "You know," she said, during one of our coffee meetings, "most patients in your situation focus entirely on their illness. But you keep designing buildings that will exist long after." She paused, realizing the implication. "Long after I might not," I finished for her. "That is exactly why I do it." While my personal life found new footing, Amanda's continued to crumble. After losing her high-paying marketing position, she struggled to find comparable employment. Her apartment went into foreclosure, and the bank repossessed her Audi. The financial consequences of her actions mounted daily. The final divorce decree granted me full retention of assets, with the judge citing clear evidence of infidelity and financial impropriety. Amanda's attempt to claim medical support was rejected by the court, her lawyer's arguments undermined by documented evidence of her absence during my initial diagnosis and treatment. Most telling was Derek's complete abandonment. After a brief separation, he reconciled with his wife, blocked Amanda's number, and transferred to his company's Seattle office as far from Chicago as possible while maintaining his career. On the 1-year anniversary of my diagnosis, my cancerversary, as my support group called it, I hosted a small gathering at my apartment. It was not a celebration of illness, but of survival and connection. Thomas, Elise, my colleagues, support group friends, and even Amanda's parents attended. As I looked around at these people who had carried me through the darkest year of my life, I realized how profoundly tragedy had revealed truth in my relationships. Those I thought closest had vanished, while unexpected sources of strength had emerged. The betrayal that once threatened to destroy me had ultimately freed me to discover more authentic connections. My quarterly scan that week had shown continued response to treatment. The aggressive protocol was working, with Dr. Winters cautiously using the word remission for the first time. While not a cure, it meant more time, perhaps years rather than months. I have been thinking a lot about what this past year has taught me, I told my gathered friends that evening, the strange gift of diagnosis is clarity. Nothing reveals what truly matters like having your time suddenly limited. Thomas raised his glass. To focusing on what matters and to choices, I added, cancer took away many choices, but it reinforced that how I respond remains entirely mine. That philosophy guided my decision when Amanda's final attempt at contact arrived a letter seeking forgiveness. After reading it carefully, I recognized genuine remorse beneath the self-serving language. I chose to forgive her privately, not for her benefit, but for my own peace. The boundaries, however, remained firm. Some bridges once burned should not be rebuilt. I later learned through mutual friends that Amanda had moved to Arizona, starting over completely. I wished her well silently, the anger that once felt all-consuming, now a distant memory. As my strength improved, I focused on supporting newly diagnosed cancer patients, volunteering as a mentor through Northwestern's Patient Advocate Program. Explaining procedures, translating medical jargon, or simply sitting with someone during their first chemotherapy session became profoundly fulfilling work. The most unexpected lesson was how vulnerability became strength. By openly acknowledging my illness rather than hiding it, I found deeper connections with clients, colleagues, and friends. The pretenses and professional masks fell away, replaced by authentic exchanges that enriched every interaction. "You know what the strangest part is," I said to Elise, as we walked along Lake Michigan one evening. "I would never choose cancer or Amanda's betrayal, but I cannot regret where they have led me. My life now exists in a state of uncertain certainty. Medical statistics provide probabilities but no guarantees. Each clear scan buys more time. Each treatment carries both hope and side effects. Yet within this uncertainty, I have found a clarity about living that had previously eluded me. The buildings I design now incorporate elements I might never see completed: rooftop gardens that will take decades to mature, sustainable features with 50-year impacts. These are no longer painful reminders of a future denied, but rather contributions to a world that will continue with or without me. There is peace in that continuity, in being part of something larger than my individual story. Have you ever had life reveal difficult truths that ultimately led to personal growth? Drop your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and share with someone who might need to hear that even in our darkest moments we can find unexpected strength. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And remember, the value of time is measured not in its quantity, but in how authentically we live each moment we are given.